Okay, I'm here in integers form number 2 on opposites, comparing and ordering integers. I'm just going to point out a few things in this form. Be sure you read these notes in here. These are to help you complete the problems. So ways to write the opposite of a number. It says we can write the opposite of a number using a negative sign. You can see the negative sign. You can read that as the opposite of. So if we want the opposite of negative 2.2, I could say the opposite of negative 2.2. You can read the negative sign as the opposite of. So here in number 2, as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3 negative signs. I have the opposite of negative 15. Okay, so one way to view this is to say, okay, well, this right here, that part's negative 15. Okay, and the first negative sign is the opposite of negative 15. Well, all of this right here inside of the bracket, all of that, the opposite of negative 15, that is just 15, right? Well, this negative sign in front of the bracket is the opposite of everything inside the bracket. So the opposite of 15. Well, what's the opposite of 15? Negative 15, right? Now, let me mention a little trick here. If we had just negative 15, and I were to ask you, how many negative signs do you see? Well, you see one, right? And so if I see one, or in this case, I had 3 negative signs, or if I had 5 negative signs, or 7 negative signs, or 9 negative signs, basically, if I have an odd number of negative signs, the number will be negative. On the other hand, if you have an even number of negative signs, so something like this up here, where you had the opposite of negative 2.2, there was 1, 2 negative signs. And the opposite of negative 2.2 is 2.2, a positive number, right? So if I have an even number of negatives, like 2 negatives, or 4 negatives, or 6 negatives, or 8 negatives, if I have an even number of negatives, my number will be even. Okay, so odd number of negatives, the number's odd. Negative. Even number of negatives, the number is positive. Hopefully that tip helps you. The opposite of 0. 0 is its own opposite, and there is no negative 0. It's just 0. Here, numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8, you're going to write an integer to represent the situation. And be sure you enter your answer only as a number. So remember number 7 here, when you deposit money, money is going into your account, and so we represent that with a positive number. In number 8, we're withdrawing money. And so if you withdraw money, money goes out of your account, and we represent that with a negative number. And number 9, the mountain is this many feet above sea level. If you're above sea level, that's positive. That's represented with a positive number. If you're below sea level, that's represented with a negative number. Skip down here to number 12, which shows the temperatures in order from greatest to least. So pay attention to whether it wants you to choose a list in order from greatest to least or least to greatest. Here we want greatest to least. So the biggest number should come first, and the smallest number should be at the very end of the list. Number 13, choose the integers. Select all that apply. Select all that apply. Remember, no decimals or fractions are integers. So 3.71, that's a decimal. Nope, not an integer. This is 3 2/3. Okay, you would also see it maybe sometimes written as this. It's a mixed number, 3 2/3. Okay, that is not an integer. 14, negative 21, and 0. Those are all integers. Those are the ones that you should select. Okay, 14 again, choose all that apply. 15, choose all that apply. Here, number 16 through 20, we're going to compare integers using an inequality symbol. So this symbol right here, that is the less than symbol. It kind of looks like a sideways L. Facing the other way, this is the greater than symbol. And so when we compare integers, be sure you read this note. That's important as well. So here, number 16, we're comparing negative 3 and 5. So which one's bigger? Which one is further to the right on the number line? Well, 5 would be, right? And so we would say negative 3 is less than 5. Negative 3 is less than 5. You could also view this inequality as like an alligator mouth or Pac-Man, and the alligator or Pac-Man always wants to eat the bigger number. And so its mouth needs to be open towards the bigger number, right? Okay, here in number 17, we have two negative numbers. Now be careful here with negative numbers. Okay, let me just draw a number line over here. Let's say this is 0 down here, and of course to the left of 0 are all your negative numbers. And let's say eventually we get to, I don't know, negative 10. Okay, then this is like negative 20. Well, if I keep going to the left, I'm going to have negative 21, negative 22, negative 23. So let's say this is negative 23. Now I have negative 24, negative 25. Okay, so when looking at these numbers on the number line, I want to know which one's bigger. Well, which one's further to the right on the number line? Is negative 23 further to the right? Or is negative 25 further to the right? You should say negative 23, right? So negative 23 is greater than, I need this inequality, negative 23 is greater than negative 25. 18, 19, you're also comparing negative numbers, and 20, you're comparing negative 6 and negative 6. Well, is negative 6 less than negative 6? Nope. Is it greater than negative 6? Nope. It's equal to, right? So you should put equal to there. One note here at the bottom, once you submit, you can view your score. If you missed any, I'd like for you to click Edit Response so you can fix the ones that you missed. And once you get all the problems correct, you can go back into the Google Classroom assignment, click the button that says View